Francis's funeral will be held this Sunday at 10 a.m. or 4 p.m. Hong Kong time at St. Peter's Basilica. That's according to a statement released by the Vatican today. Meanwhile, the Vatican is observing the sede vacante period, which began when the death of Pope Francis was announced Monday. As part of this period, the giant bronze doors to the Apostolic Palace are half closed and bells are rung. This as countries honor the late Pope, flying their flags at half-mast. The 88-year-old pontiff suffered a stroke, which led to a coma and heart failure. Tracy Furness has more.
The Vatican's bronze bell that overlooks St. Peter's Square rang out Monday to mark the death of Pope Francis. It is also the start of sede vacante, a series of rites that come into play in the period between the end of one pontificate and the election of a new pope. As part of the sede vacante period, the giant bronze doors to the Apostolic Palace are half closed, but the Vatican continues to operate and visitors can still use the half-closed doors. Another key tradition after a pope dies is the sealing of the Pope's Vatican apartment. Cardinal Kevin Farrell oversaw the sealing of Pope Francis's apartment, officials draping a red ribbon through the door handles. Then they poured liquid wax on the bow and impressed Francis's papal seal to keep it closed. Farrell, followed by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State, and the substitute or Chief of Staff, Archbishop Edgar Penna-Parra, then tested the big doors to make sure they were locked. It wasn't immediately clear if Francis's other apartment in the Dumas Santa Marta Hotel was also sealed. Francis chose to live there in the second-floor suite rather than the Apostolic Palace. In St. Peter's Square, the Vatican held a rosary prayer in its first public commemoration following Francis's death. Vatican daily newspaper headline reading, "The Lord called the Holy Father Francis." It is said that Pope Francis decreed that he will be buried in St. Mary Major Basilica in a simple underground tomb. The basilica is home to Francis's favourite icon of the Virgin Mary, to whom he was particularly devoted. His funeral will take place on April 26, the Vatican announced today. The cardinals will also be planning the conclave to elect a successor to Pope Francis. Meanwhile, across the world, flags were flown at half-mast Monday to mark the death of the pontiff. In London, from Buckingham Palace to the Prime Minister's official residence at 10 Downing Street and the city's Catholic Cathedral. Washington, D.C. too, as President Donald Trump remembers the Pope, calling him a good man. India's presidential palace and other government buildings also flew their flags at half-mast to honour the Pope. But Francis never set foot in his homeland, Argentina, after he became Pope in 2013. He never elaborated much on his decision to steer clear of Argentina, but Vatican insiders and experts see it as an effort to avoid getting swept up in the polarising politics that characterised his country. Tracy Furness, TVB News.